If you enjoy being alone more than being around people, this video is not here to tell you that something is wrong with you. It's here to tell you the opposite. And stay with me because what you're about to hear might explain your entire personality in ways no one ever has before. Because psychology says that preferring solitude is often a sign of a mind that works differently, not weakly, not socially broken, and not emotionally damaged, but deeper, more aware, and more selective than most people around you. And if you've ever felt that strange sense of relief when plans get canceled, or that calm feeling when you finally return home after being around people, or that quiet happiness when you're alone with your thoughts, your books, your music, or just your own presence, then this isn't coincidence. It's psychology, because the human brain doesn't seek solitude unless it finds something valuable there. And people who genuinely enjoy being alone usually aren't running away from others. They're returning to themselves, and that's the first truth most people misunderstand. Because society teaches us that being alone means being lonely, antisocial, or unhappy. But psychology draws a very different line between loneliness and solitude. Loneliness is the pain of wanting connection and not having it. But solitude is the comfort of having connection within yourself. And if you enjoy being alone, it often means your inner world is rich enough to keep you company. Your thoughts are deep enough to engage you, and your emotional awareness is strong enough that you don't need constant distraction to feel alive. And this kind of mind usually develops in people who think more than they speak, observe more than they react, and feel more than they show, which is why crowded places often feel overwhelming to you. Not because you hate people, but because your nervous system processes more information at once. Every sound, every emotion, every unspoken tension in the room. Your brain is always scanning, interpreting, reading between the lines, and when too much stimulation hits at once, your system naturally seeks quiet. Not because you're weak, but because you're sensitive in the psychological sense, meaning you feel deeply, think deeply, and absorb more than most. And psychology shows that highly self-aware individuals often need solitude to regulate their emotions, because when you understand yourself deeply, you also feel things more intensely, and being alone gives you the space to process without interference, without noise, without having to perform or explain yourself. And that's another key trait. People who enjoy solitude often hate performance. They don't enjoy wearing masks, engaging in shallow conversations, or pretending to care about things that feel empty to them. Small talk drains you because it feels disconnected from meaning, and forced social interaction feels exhausting because your mind craves depth, honesty, and substance. And when you don't find that, you'd rather be alone than fake engagement, which is why your social circle is usually small, selective, or even non-existent. Not because you can't connect, but because you refuse to connect superficially, and psychology confirms this pattern. People who prefer quality over quantity in relationships often spend more time alone simply because meaningful connections are rare. And until they find them, solitude feels more peaceful than compromise. And over time, this preference shapes your personality in powerful ways. You become independent, emotionally self-sufficient, and less dependent on validation. You don't need constant reassurance because your sense of worth comes from internal alignment, not external approval. And this is why people sometimes misunderstand you. They may think you're distant, cold, or detached, when in reality you're deeply present with yourself and deeply selective about who gets access to your energy. Because you've learned often through experience that not everyone deserves emotional intimacy. And if you've been hurt, misunderstood, or emotionally drained in the past, your brain adapts by raising the bar. Psychology calls this adaptive withdrawal, not isolation. Your mind isn't shutting down, it's protecting itself, and solitude becomes the space where you heal, reflect, and regain balance. And inside that space, something important happens. Your inner dialogue grows stronger, your intuition sharpens, your creativity deepens, and your self-understanding expands. You begin to notice patterns others miss. You question assumptions instead of blindly following them, and you start living more intentionally, which can make the external world feel chaotic, rushed, or emotionally shallow in comparison. And this contrast often makes people like you feel out of place. as if the world is moving at a speed or rhythm that doesn't match yours. And that feeling can be confusing because you're not unhappy, you're not depressed, you're not broken, you're just different. And psychology recognizes this difference as a cognitive and emotional style, not a flaw. People who enjoy being alone often have higher levels of introspection, emotional intelligence, and self-reflection. They think before they speak, analyze before they act, and feel before they react. And because of this, social environments that reward loudness, speed, and surface-level engagement can feel draining, while quiet environments feel nourishing. And as you spend more time alone, your inner world becomes not a place of escape, but a place of clarity, where you understand your values, your boundaries, your desires, and your limits. And this understanding changes how you relate to others. You become less tolerant of manipulation, drama, and emotional inconsistency because solitude teaches you peace. And once you know peace, chaos becomes obvious. And this is why people who enjoy being alone often walk away from toxic relationships faster. They don't cling out of fear because they know they can stand on their own, and that independence can intimidate people who rely on others to regulate their emotions, which leads to another misunderstanding. People may assume you're arrogant, cold, or uninterested, when in reality, you're simply grounded. And grounded people don't chase, they choose. And psychology shows that this internal stability is rare in a world that constantly pushes distraction, validation, and noise, which is why solitude-oriented individuals often feel like outsiders, not because they don't belong, but because they don't conform. And conformity is often mistaken for connection. But real connection requires authenticity, and authenticity grows in silence, reflection, and self-awareness. The very spaces you naturally seek. And here's something important. Enjoying being alone doesn't mean you'll always be alone. It means when you do connect, you connect deeply, intentionally, and honestly. You're not against relationships, you're against empty ones. And psychology suggests that people like you often form fewer but stronger bonds over time, because when you let someone in, it's real, not performative. And that depth is something many people never experience because they're too afraid to sit alone long enough to understand themselves. And that's the quiet truth. Solitude isn't a weakness. It's a training ground for self-knowledge. And if you've ever felt guilty for enjoying your own company, or questioned whether something was wrong with you for preferring quiet nights over loud gatherings, understand this: your mind is wired for depth, clarity, and meaning, not constant stimulation. And that wiring is rare, valuable, and powerful. But it requires self-trust, because the world will try to tell you otherwise. It will label you introverted, antisocial, or detached, without understanding that your solitude is not absence. It's presence with yourself. And when you accept this part of who you are instead of fighting it, something shifts. You stop forcing yourself into spaces that drain you. You stop apologizing for needing time alone, and you start honoring your natural rhythm. And when you do that, you attract people and environments that resonate with you instead of exhaust you. And that's where true belonging begins. Not by fitting in, but by being understood, even if only by a few. And if this video felt like it was speaking directly to you, it's because it was, not by accident, but by recognition. And if you want more psychology content that explains your personality in ways the world never taught you, make sure to like this video, share it with someone who feels the same way but never talks about it, and subscribe to this channel, because in a world that constantly demands noise, choosing understanding, awareness, and depth is not just rare. It's necessary, and you're not alone in feeling this way, even when you're by yourself.